Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers McKay.
And I'm Kristy Jansen, and we're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to make it one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels, including Facebook, which is sort of weird right now because there's trolls everywhere.
I know.
Sidebar. Also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, troll-free-worthy podcast. Today is Thursday, the 12th of November, 2020. And I want to just take a moment to wish a very happy birthday to one of our favorite emissaries and one of my dearest friends, Sienna Marie. So happy birthday, lady. We love all you do and all you do for the Optimist Daily. Sienna Marie is amazing. She posts us all the time on Instagram and talks about the podcast all the time. And she's fabulous.
Well, good. So, happy birthday, Sienna Marie.
Kristy, would you like to know how well received the stew was from Monday?
Oh, I am curious, actually. How was that cut up steak?
Actually, was it Tuesday? Was it Tuesday that I made it or Monday? It was Tuesday that I made it. Yeah, it was Tuesday that I made it, right? And everyone ate it for dinner. My husband wasn't home because, he and I split the work day. He has the baby in the morning and I have the baby in the afternoon. The older kids both ate it. The baby loved it. And I kind of thought everyone was just being nice. Maybe they were just hungry. But get this. So after the baby and I go to bed, that my husband comes home and he has a bowl. And I come out the next morning and there are 2 bowls in the sink. I was like, why did you need 2 bowls, Will, in order to have stew? Well, in fact, our daughter came down and had another bowl. And then last night, and I usually get just so much guff for leftovers, but last night was totally leftover night. And before I could even serve the kids, they were scooping themselves bowls of the stew. And then this morning, I came out to the kitchen to see that my husband had fully finished it off. So we have crock pot success and low food waste, and everything about the meal is a winner of a meal. So I'm feeling very good about some of the strategies Optimist Daily has told me to maximize the use of my kitchen.
Well, so I suppose that was good. So I think that was the last day you were late to record, right?
Oh,
before today.
Well, fine. You're just going to throw me under the bus, huh?
This morning, I have been up early, and fortunately, I was reminded by our wonderful producer, Amelia, that we had an 8 o'clock interview, which I had completely forgotten about. And I think Summers also, you had forgotten about it, but I hadn't yet left. For whatever reason, I was slow to get going this morning. Maybe some part of my brain or the universe conspired to keep me home because I hadn't left for my walk with Tucker. And I got a note from Amelia, hey, it's 7:45, we're on at 8 with the founders of Briiv. And I was like, oh, I forgot about that. So I did the interview myself. I interviewed the founders of Briiv. Our main story today is going to be talking about Briiv, which is a very ingenious, all sustainable, built with circularity in mind air filter.
Let's just frame it a little bit. And yes, I am terribly sorry I missed the meeting. Unfortunately, unlike Tucker, I cannot just give the baby a bowl of water and say, stay, I'll feed you later. But I was really excited for this conversation with Briiv because air purifiers and at-home air quality is so important. And we've talked a lot about ways to use houseplants to improve the air quality in your home, but also the use of air purifiers and the ubiquity of them while we're dealing with, forest fires and other air and climate issues. It's really, really imperative that we keep the air in our homes clean. But there's a sustainability issue, right?
Because I think last year alone, 2019, there was 15 million air filters purchased. And that filter is supposed to be replaced every 6 months. Not that it is necessarily, but when it's replaced, all of the filters, which are made out of plastic and are not recyclable, they're not biodegradable, they end up in our landfills for thousands of years, leaching into the soils, right? And that's 6,000 tons of plastic waste every 6 months or however often those filters are being replaced, right? which, as Briiv points out on their website, that's the equivalent of 500 London buses of plastic waste. That's a lot of plastic. And we've also been writing about things like how natural gas can add to indoor air pollution. Pet dander can be an issue for some, and just smells that come in through the off-gassing of other things in our homes. And it can really lead to asthma and other respiratory diseases. And we're all really concerned about that right now as we are still dealing with COVID.
Certainly in the Northern Hemisphere, as we're seeing a resurgence of cases, lockdowns are sort of returning, and a safe, clean environment at home is paramount to all of our comfort and success in this next quarter. So that's what led you to the Briiv conversation.
Yes. And we spoke today with James Whitfield, who's their managing director, and Sean Sykes, who's their creative director. And they are the co-founders behind this ingenious air filter, which is designed completely sustainable. It's all about using natural products in the product design. It uses glass, it uses moss, it uses coconut fibers. Everything is from what they like to call the biosphere as opposed to the lithosphere. It's completely sustainable and recyclable, or if not recyclable, at least it goes back into the environment in a positive way. And so we're very excited to bring them on. And I think we can go ahead and do that. James and Sean, welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. How are you guys this morning?
Hey, great to be here. We're really good today.
Yeah, fantastic.
Great. Well, before we jump into the Briiv filter itself, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your personal backgrounds? I love a great origin story, and I want to know how you came up with this and what brought you together to work together and create this innovative company.
Yeah, well, me and Sean have been working together for the past 10 years. Yeah. We actually met at university when we were studying product design and went our separate ways for a little while. And then we came back together to found a creative design agency about 7 8 years ago. And there we work on about 200 or 300 different products a year. And
so these are everything from like really bizarre inventions to some Dragon's Den products as well.
Yeah. So there's a real wide array of things we had there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What do you mean by a creative design company? Like, just explain what that is.
Sorry. Yes. So we come at it for product designers, which is the stage before engineering. So we tend to come up with the actual concept, the actual idea, opposed to doing all the engineering. And we do the engineering and the production part of it as well. But product designers, they come up with like
new iterations, new designs.
Yeah. The next step kind of thing, like moving beyond what exists now and looking at what could exist. There's not many of us in the world. It's a fairly niche profession, but that's kind of like why we sort of would consult. So we'd go into a lot of other companies. We'd have inventors come to us with an idea, and they'd say, "Well, we've got this idea. How can we make that into a product?" And then we know how to turn like an idea from like a little scribble on a piece of paper and do all the work in between to get it into manufacture and then into the shops. So that's what that sort of creative agency that we ran was, and that's kind of our job.
Besides air filter, is there any other cool products that you guys have designed that have actually gone out into the world?
Yeah, we worked on quite a lot of things. Unfortunately, because we have some things we've designed within the automotive industry and some things for aerospace and these kind of things. So we're not allowed to talk about them.
Right. So they're not consumer products. They're sort of a piece of an airplane that's going to keep it to the next level. Okay, yeah. I like it.
What we've done is very wide and varied, so our experiences covers a lot of different fields, and it's what gives us quite a unique perspective on things, is having that wide view. But we have designed things like teddy bears and paint trays, watering cans, that fold down flat, all these kind of things. You name it, we've probably done it or tried to do it or had some hand in something like it. So that's...
So let's talk now about the Briiv, about the air filter that you've designed. Why don't you tell us a little bit what it is? Many of our listeners will have read the article that we put out a couple months ago, and we'll link to that in the show notes. But describe what it is and tell us about that story, how you came up with that idea.
So Briiv is the sustainable air filter, and it's a new take on conventional air filters that produce a lot of waste, both in terms of the unit itself and the filters that you put through them that are just thrown into landfill. They contain glass fibers and plastics. And
just as to put a number on it, there's around 6,000 tons of those filters just thrown away every year, just in the US alone. So it's a considerable amount of landfill produced from that.
And they're not biodegradable, right? How long does it take for a standard type of air filter to break down in the environment?
Yeah, well, a lot of them, they won't. I mean, plastics, they generally don't. They say it takes like thousands and thousands of years, but the reality is with plastic is no one sat around for thousands of years to see if it does break down.
Okay, so that's the problem. And then why did you decide to work on this particular problem?
So Briiv is very much, because we did consultancy for a very long time. And then Briiv is the first of our own products that we've sort of brought to market. And it was a bit of our desire because we know how to make things sustainable. And we know sustainable design can be done, but very few people are willing to do it. And there's a few reasons for that. And that's one of them is sort of the perception that green products aren't as good. They won't look as good as a product that isn't green. And also that there's this fear of the unknown. They do cost a bit more to make. And unfortunately, the consumer product arena is very much about making things as cheaply as possible for the large amount. We worked on a few projects before that the product never made it to market, and it was such a shame because some of the products were really, really interesting and could have done a lot of good for the world. But it was unfortunately like the cost going the way and the compromises were made. So we sort of came together and thought we could do something that actually proves that it can be done, and if it's done right, it can be beneficial for companies and for the planet and for consumers. So everybody wins, and I think that's the ultimate goal, really, for what people should be aiming for in business and in life.
So this is your first in-house product that you're actually developing, not just doing the design, but also the engineering and the putting it together and then taking it to market.
Yes, this is the first one we've gone, full route.
Describe what it actually looks like, because, I mean, this is an audio format, and I want you to paint a picture of what the actual filter looks like and what it's constructed out of.
Yeah, okay. So it's as a small desktop unit, and its main thing that immediately draws your eye is the glass housing on the top. There's kind of like a terrarium look to it, and housed in there is the natural moss that we've used, which is preserved. So there's an immediate like green moss outdoorsy feel to it, and under that sits a layer of coconut fiber. So you get this like nice brown and green natural feel, but housed in a nice glass terrarium environment. That sits on top of the black bioplastics that we've used. They're actually made from elephant grass. From an outside perspective, it does just look like a off-the-shelf consumer product kind of thing. So it's very neat, very polished. That sort of looks like a smart speaker. So it's round. And then that black plastic is wrapped in a hemp fiber. So again, it sort of plays into that sort of speaker look. And the moss at the top is open. It was always the idea that you could just come up to it and feel it. And it's one of the things that people do when they first hear it. They immediately go to touch the moss and feel and see what's going on there kind of thing. So it adds a nice tactile element to the whole thing and sort of a new way to interact with nature almost. Basically, the air is drawn in the top there through the moss and the coconut, and then inside we've got some specially designed filters that do all the heavy lifting, and the air is then pushed out through the hemp fiber that's wrapped around it and like the little vents at the base. That purifies your air.
We really wanted it to look like nothing else on the market. So like traditional filters are all your big white cubes or they just all look much of a muchness, apart from maybe Dyson that goes a bit out there, but ours really stands out, and we really wanted to make a point of that.
It is a very striking looking device. I mean, it really looks very natural because you've got the moss and you've got the coconut and you've got it's like brown and black and green and vibrant and glass. It feels like a houseplant more than it does something which is a device. A lot of what
our source material was, we were looking at a lot of forest floors, so it kind of tries to mimic that kind of look with the water streams and reflectiveness and the dark forest floor kind of thing.
And I think that's so interesting. Now, in terms of the actual problem you guys are setting out to solve, there's kind of two. There's one, which is the non-sustainability of the current air filters which are on the market. And the second thing is just acknowledging the fact that indoor air pollution is a real issue. I mean, air quality is something that we're becoming more and more aware of, right? And I'm here in California. when I was a kid, we would have smog days from school. Like Los Angeles was where I grew up, and there'd be days when the air quality would be so poor you wouldn't be able to go outside. Now, if we have a forest fire, that's happening. But also lately, I've been hearing more about people having indoor air pollution as even being more of an issue in today's world after the Clean Air Act. And we've been cleaning up our outside air by cutting down on industry pollution and even trying to rein in carbon dioxide and other toxic off gases, right? But you've got natural gas stoves, you've got other kind of indoor air pollutants that can lead to asthma and other lung ailments. Is that why you guys got interested in this particular type of a sustainable solution?
Yeah. I mean, we wanted to do something that reduced waste and was good for people's health. It wasn't necessarily good for people's health, but something that helped people. We came across the study about indoor air quality and how negative it is for people's health, and they don't realise. And this is it's one of the things that we've learned a lot about as we've been working on the project, and we've been working on it for over a year now. From the design point of view, testing it with various things. So you become very acutely aware of when you have all the sensors and things, and you're testing it in homes and things like that, of how polluted the air actually is and what changes that.
Yeah, you start cooking and then it immediately just goes off the charts.
Yeah,
cooking is a huge one, especially with gas, and especially now that modern homes are now pretty well sealed, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, I think that was the original study we looked at, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's just the same air circulating over and over and over again, just getting more and more polluted. And then you introduce pets, cleaning agents, dust in general. It just builds up over time until it just becomes quite a problem.
Yeah, and it really is that thing about plastic windows, double glazing. The funny thing is housing trying to be more efficient and stopping the heat get out and these kind of things.
Right. And if you think about things with COVID, we're all sort of locked in our homes and air quality is super important, right? And so it's a pretty timely product for you to come up with as we're spending more time inside, bringing a bit of nature in. I mean, we're at the Optimist Daily, we write a lot about houseplants because we really understand how having natural elements of nature close to you really can help boost your mood. It can help with your health and immunity. I'm sitting here right now looking at a massive plant on my desk, which I have, So I like that your filter brings that natural element in. How is it different or better than just having like massive amounts of houseplants in your home?
Yeah. So, I mean, we don't like to bash plants at all. I mean, we've got loads of plants in the office as well. We love plants, and they do their part in producing oxygen and removing toxins from the air. But when we talk about air quality and dust and things like that that's in the air, they're very passive. They won't filter out the dust and the fine particulates that really cause damage to people's lungs. And there's an educational piece there that we've come across before. But plants are great, but Briiv, for instance, it will take out those fine particulates because it's designed to draw the air past all the fibers and things, whereas you don't necessarily have that with plants themselves.
Right.
That's great.
Right. And how does it compare to a regular air filter in terms of the efficacy?
So our little, it is a small unit. It's smaller than large units you see like in buildings and things like that. So ours is more of a desktop near you kind of filter. And it's up there. It's one of the most efficient 5-volt units on the market. Well, it is the most. There's nothing that gets really close to it, really.
Tell me a little bit about where are you at with the stage of the product? I think you started it as a Kickstarter and you've moved to Indiegogo. Tell me about that and sort of your whole idea of building it and distributing it. When is it going to be something that somebody can actually purchase?
Yeah, so we're hoping that it's going to be produced and finished and on sale in the first half of next year.
Looking hopefully February, March, aren't we?
Yeah. We've done really well on Kickstarter, and it's been a great experience being on there and getting some really nice feedback from people, and just what that's done to help bring the product along a bit as well. But at the moment, we are in full manufacture, so it's all in the factories, being injection molded, glass is being formed. We have all the moss here in our room next door, so that's just a room full of moss right now. It's all underway. We're still working on things like the app and things like that because it's going to be an internet connected device. They're still finalizing those elements.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hopefully start seeing real Briiv units landing in the next 2 months.
Okay. And so can people still sign up to pre-order a unit? And what's the price point you're starting out at?
Yeah, so they're available for pre-order at the moment on Indiegogo still, and they are £250.
Not sure what that is in dollars, but
yeah, I was just thinking that.
but yeah, they're still available now. Yeah.
So, and then if you get on the list, then you might be able to start shipping them in first quarter of next year. So maybe folks can actually receive their filter, their ingenious, green, lovely, super powerful, sustainable air filter in March or April of next year.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. So
okay.
People who sign up now will get it. We'll be the first people to get it, basically.
Will it last quite a long time? Like, what's the life cycle of this filter, and how does it work as you own it for years?
Yeah, I mean, we've designed it around being a long-lasting, long-standing product. So it's designed around like a timeless look. So it's not going to drop out of fashion is the aim. The glass is all cleanable. We wanted it to be glass because it maintains its look very nicely. It does clean very well. All the other materials are, I mean, the moss itself and the filters, they all biodegrade and can be replaced nice and easily.
Oh, yeah. And then how often do you have to replace the filters? I guess that once you have a customer, you have them, every year, however often you need to replace the filters, right? You'll send them the components so they can update it on their own.
Yeah, we tried to make it as simple as possible. So we just sell all the filters that someone would need in one pack for a year. So you just buy that once a year. And
really interesting. And I guess that this goes right into the idea of designing circularity into your products, right? So you're not interested in being something that has to be replaced every year. Yes, it's a bit more expensive up front, but it will last quite a long time. And that's how you're designing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one on the circularity and circular design, because we come at it from a very puristic point of view. So a lot of the circular design methodology is great in theory, but society isn't quite set up ready for it yet. As an example, like plastic products that are made and designed for the circular industry, out of every plastic piece that's produced, I think only 2% is ever used in a circular fashion. So that's how far we've got to go with it. So what we do is we look at it from the point of view is we don't even try and introduce plastic components that have to be circular. We work at it from the biodegradability side of things. So it doesn't matter if there's leakage in the system, like if a filter ends up being thrown in the conventional waste kind of thing, it's not going to cause any harm by doing so. And the same with the plastic components. That's why I went for the bioplastic that's grown from elephant grass, and it can turn back into a soil nutrient at the end of its life. So again, that doesn't need to be recycled in any way. So it works with the current infrastructure that we have. And we're aware, like, because we sell this product internationally. So in India, for instance, they don't have the same recycling standards. I mean, even in England, the north of England has completely different standards from the south and that kind of thing. So it's very, very varied. So by designing from the biodegradability standpoint, we try and incorporate that.
In the end, your bioplastics will go back into being soil nutrients. So there's a use for that afterlife in its afterlife.
Yeah. We're from the start with this. We've looked at where will this end up. So, we've avoided chemical glues, we've avoided plastics that can't, any conventional plastics really. The aim is to use everything from the biosphere. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but sort of oil-based plastics and things, they come from the lithosphere, and when they're brought out of that and they're burnt, and that's where you get the imbalance in the biosphere from, because you get all this stuff that's locked away as carbon in the planet that's then being used and released. And if we just took things from the biosphere where it's grown and
renewable,
it's more renewable, that kind of thing.
That's a super important distinction to make. So even though you do have a, quotes, plastic component, it's a bioplastic that comes from the biosphere as opposed to a petroleum plastic, which comes from the lithosphere and is completely irreplaceable in our lifetimes, at least,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Was there anything else you want to share with our audience before we move to our last question? Did I miss anything in our conversation? If you're bringing the ethos of circularity and sustainability into your corporate culture as well, that's something that Summers and I talk often about sort of a cooperative and collaborative environment. And it sounds like you've got that a little bit, but do you want to talk a little bit more about that in your the company itself?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a very, very open office here. We try to have a very sort of flat management structure almost. There's no one afraid to come and talk to me or Sean as the founders kind of thing if there's a question or if there's anything that someone wants to learn. It's all very open.
And there's always loads of ideas flying around, isn't there?
Yeah, we just actively encourage people. Everyone who comes into the office is like, if you've seen a problem or if you think something can be done better, then just tell us and let's make something happen and we can do something about it. We're very much action-based kind of people, and we kind of encourage that across everyone as well.
I love that. And are you working on other things besides this filter right now in your company, or are you just pushing to get this out there and on the market?
Yeah, we've got three or four other products we're currently working on. Because the nice thing about manufacturers, once you've designed it, and like at the moment, a lot of the work is with people we work with that are putting it together and stuff. So it gives us the freedom to come up with the things for the next year kind of thing and the year after that. But yeah, they're all along the similar lines. So just products that help people, products that are better for the environment. The aim of the company is to really
change how people perceive sustainable products.
Yeah, change the status quo and challenge how people perceive products and how consumer electronics are designed and manufactured. So.
Right, and move from just a consumerist perspective where you just more and look at quality and circularity and sustainability, which I am very, very keen on that for sure. And we're very curious to see how you guys are able to grow over the next year, and we'll like to keep track of you. So let us know once you get it out there on the market, and you can even buy it from a store, or if it's all online. The last question we always like to ask, we are the Optimist Daily, so we like to ask our guests to tell us a little bit about what makes you optimistic. Why are you hopeful and positive in the world?
Yeah, so I'm coming at this from a bit of a product point of view. So for us, I mean, it's that we've been doing this for 10 plus years, and in that time we've seen that there's more and more sustainable materials coming to market recently as well. And people are taking them more seriously, so it's not just a bit of a joke anymore. It's like it's actual products you can buy and use, and stuff that we can use and incorporate into products that never used to be there. So there's just more options available to us as designers, and they're as good as traditional materials now as well. Whereas again, before they would struggle with a lot of the technical aspects of things.
Consumers are also more switched on.
Yeah,
and that's really driving change, which is great.
Yeah. And it's really up to the consumer to drive that change as well, I think. So, it's really good to see people being more switched on with it.
If you build it, they will come, but you also have to start asking. We have to be looking for these kinds of products, right? And demanding that we get cleaner, sustainable, quality products out there as opposed to just cheap throwaway stuff. It's going to live for all eternity in our landfills, poisoning our earth.
Yeah, but it's not too late. I think if everyone was started buying these kind of products and showing the really big players that this is what people wanted and this is the way that it should be done, then they would have no choice but to change. And that's, I like to think that we are affecting change in some way to encourage that, really. It's a team effort. It won't happen all at once, but I believe it will happen.
All right, James and Sean, really great talking with you this morning. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much. That's been really good. Thank you.
Right.
Well, Kristy, that was a fantastic interview. Thank you so much for getting that. And again, I'm sorry I missed you. I'm sorry I couldn't be part of it.
I'm glad that you got to listen to it after the fact. And I hope our audience enjoys it. And there's more great solutions on the Optimist Daily today.
It is Thankful Thursday. And so that's probably the most important thing for us to point out. But I'll just buzz through some of the other headlines on the Optimist Daily today. New York City will try a police-free approach to addressing mental health crisis. This is part of Refund Mental Health that we have talked about. A designer from India is turning cigarette butts into beautiful vases. I hate cigarette butts. But I am thankful for Thankful Thursdays. This one today is about a note to nonprofits. Clean energy hit record growth in 2020 despite COVID-19. Are you alone for the holidays? Here's how to cultivate joy and stay connected. Plantega is bringing vegan food to your local bodega. Ooh, I like that. And a vertical farm wants to improve agriculture by growing food for cattle. Veterans and Gold Star families can now access national parks for free. Once again, a gorgeous picture of Yosemite. And a startup captures carbon and uses it to make greener cement. Last but not least, Pizza Hut. Aren't we hungry? Don't we want food right now?
I want some stew, Summers.
Yeah, no, you want some stew. Sorry, there's none left. It was too popular. But Pizza Hut launches plant-based toppings nationwide. So that's it on the Optimist Daily today. Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Optimist Daily Update. Please consider becoming an emissary on optimistdaily.com, and for just $5 a month, support reader-funded independent journalism. That could be $5 or $15 or $50, depending on your level of commitment. Be part of the solution, changing consciousness and addressing our world's biggest challenges with a problem-solving mindset. Let's keep the Optimist Daily free to all who need it, supported by those who can. And Kristy, why don't you spin us out with a little note about Thankful Thursday?
All right, so we have this little note from Sandra Weiss with our writing prompt.
Hey everyone, it's Sandra Weiss from the Lost Art of Love Letters. This Thankful Thursday, we're going to express, create, and appreciate for nonprofits. You're going to think about your favorite nonprofit and send them a letter of gratitude. You can think about an organization that works locally in your community, nationally, or internationally. Whichever organization touches your heart and inspires you, that's who you're going to send your letter to.